Have you ever been able to truly find a character that resonates with you? We find characters in video games, TV shows, movies, and also all the people that you meet in your own life. I spent a lot of time here on this YouTube channel for AveyaZ, developing an original story entirely filled with original characters. And my attempt with all of these characters is to hopefully find one that will resonate with each and every one of you. And if for some reason none of them do, well, that's why I'm here with you today. I have taken the time to create a graphic tool using artificial intelligence. It's completely safe, free to use. Lo and behold, it's incredibly simple. So today I'm going to spend the time going through a document that I've created. We'll showcase an overview as well as a guide on how to use it. Now going forward, within the description of the videos and the description of the actual YouTube channel itself, I will have a link designated to a document that will contain every single link of material that I have created so far. And this will include any new graphic tools that I will create in the future, because I have two more that I have created that I will be discussing next. So without further ado, let's go ahead and dive into the overview and guide on how to use this tool. And here we are, the official AveyaZ Character Creator tool. So what is the purpose of this tool? Remember that the reason that I made this tool was so that for myself, when I'm presenting characters in the future that are either being added to the lore or already exist, now that the lore has been established as of recent videos, I will use this tool to present new characters in the future going forward. But also, you'll be able to utilize this tool to actually go ahead and create your own character that most resonates within you in the world of Velaris. So as always in the beginning, this is just a short description of how this tool works. This creator tool will allow you to input several different aspects, such as a lore basis to the character, stats in an RPG style Octagon format that you will actually be able to manipulate yourself and it will change real time, as well as input an image of this character that you want to include. Don't forget also ideas on the name and etc., but we're going to dive into that here in just a second. So why is this tool important? For one, it greatly helps me in the future with not only creating future characters, but also presenting them to everybody in a very organized and professional format. And you're going to see very particular aspects inside of this that are going to reference to the color schemes, that is the AveyaZ branding as associated within this room. When we talk about the UI layout of this graphic tool, it's going to showcase on the majority of the screen, about 80% of it, all starting from the right side over, and it's going to be encompassing the entirety of the graphic tool in itself as a presentation format. But then also on the left side of that beginning 20%, this is where you're going to be able to actually enter in all of your information, and then it will update itself in real time. So given that idea, I created a presentation mode where you can have a hide controls button, and once you click that button, that entire left side panel will disappear, and then you'll be able to allow it to go into a full screen format without having all that extra UI jargon existing there. There are new concepts that I've added to the overall lore basis, and they're going to be in the idea of corruption and resonance. And again, there's going to be two different bars that will allow you to hold a certain amount of percentage-based system regarding these two instances. We'll work on to section 3, and I'm going to tell you now into the details of how this thing works. So starting from the top in this boxed in format of this character presentation, you're going to have your name and title. And the title is generally speaking going to be a reference of some form of social standing. In the case of the protagonist of the story, he is the Chaos Prince, as an example. When it comes to the nations and affiliations, if you have not seen the full lore of the story, I highly recommend you go through that. But if not, here are the general standing of each of the realms or nations in this case. Zarvale, the Chaos Realm. Verelian, the Order Realm. Verelios, Athens Capital Nation. Nemira, the Mage Tech Nation. Silvara, the Neutral Trade and Grand Market Nation. Dragorn, the Gilded Gladiator Nation. Farundel, the Land of Demiborn Tribes. And the Cult of Varnaxis, which is the cultist group that envelops the plot. I don't know why I talked as if that was the ending of it, because there's still more. There's Nithra, the Nebula Zone. Lazulun, the Realm of Light. Noctiros, the Realm of Darkness. The Weeping Dystopia, last but not least, which is a lost and unoccupied region. Now getting into part 2 of the data entry aspect of what you can put inside this character creation tool, you're going to have a designated class. So we're going with an RPG style archetype as I have built the lore basis of the channel. I have already attached in within one of those links in that document an established class-based system going from tier 1 to tier 5. So if you have not checked that out, I fully recommend that you go ahead and check that out as well, because then you can utilize one of those class tiers to better place yourself inside the world of Velaris. When it comes to mana types, there's going to be the 6 elemental affiliations: fire, water, thunder, wind, light, dark, as well as, once you reach tier 4 and above, 3 designated divine affinity types: resonant, exemplar, and void. Resonant for chaos, exemplar for order, void for independent or neither aligned in either one. You're going to be able to establish what type of weapons that you have. From this, you can either put in what the weapon type is, but since you're going to be using the basis of the tier system that I have in place, those are already established. It would actually be super helpful if you do provide a name of what the weapon style is, and then also the associated name to that weapon. Get creative, give it something cool, or give it something ridiculous if that's the kind of type of vibe you're going for. When it comes to the power tiers, I already explained that. You're going to go from tier 1 to tier 5. Onward to the third part here. Now we're going to get into one of the coolest aspects that I think I really highlight this entire tool altogether, which is the fact that there's an 8-point radar chart system. It's octagonal shaped because 8 types, right? And the majority of these actually are referenced as attributes of character from my friend portfolio activity that I have recently created as well. More on that in just a moment. So going from the top, you'll have Prowess, this is physical attack strength and physical weapon mastery. Second one, Fortitude in physical defense. The third one, Constitution, representing a raw health pool and physical stamina. Stat number 4 is Resilience, that is going to be magic resistance. Stat number 5 is Insight. This is going to be luck, intuition, and potential other miscellaneous benefits. And one that I was thinking of in particular would be like critical hit rates of some kind. Stat number 6, which is going to be the AveyaZ lore specific stat, never existed in other terms. And that's going to be Resolve. Resolve is going to be a measurement of health or mana regeneration, tenacity or anti-crowd control capabilities within a character, as well as damage reduction. And in terms of damage reduction, I'm definitely more along the lines of percent-based damage reduction. It's simple, it's effective, don't change it. Don't change what already works. Stat number 7 is Arcana. That is an attribute towards magic power, as well as mastering the arcane types. And last but not least, stat number 8 is Agility. This is going to be the reference to movement speed. Well, speeds of all types. So movement speed, attack speed, or potentially even casting speed if applicable. And the reason why I say if applicable is when it comes down to ultimate techniques, there's probably not going to be much of a difference in terms of casting times for those, but for regular skill bases, there could absolutely be something that comes into line for that. Part 4 of this detail that you can choose in here. So this is going back to those 2 meters that you can also adjust when it comes to corruption and resonance. These are going to be in the reference to a character's mental and spiritual state. And it's going to be based on a percentage from 0 to 100%. And once you reach certain thresholds, it's going to actually auto-populate a specific term that will be representative of that current state. So you're going to have corruption level, and there's going to be in the red color here between the 2 bars. And the corruption level is going to be a measurement of the taintedness of dark energy or unfortunate circumstances. So it doesn't necessarily have to be somebody that is otherwise evil in design, but ultimately could definitely reference someone who has just had a horrible life altogether, meaning a higher percentage rate of corruption level. 0 to 25%, you're going to be recognized as pure. 26 to 74%, you're going to be stable. Still some corruption has occurred within this person's life, but not to a point where it's forthcoming and severely impacting their state of how they are, as in terms of a mental state or spiritual state. 75 to 100%, you are corrupted. You are probably having a horrible time. Who knows what's happened to you? And given the basis of the lore of the story, there's going to be a fair group of characters that are going to have that corrupted level status. The second meter that you can adjust is going to be soul resonance, and that is your measurement of connection to the world or others, often referencing either leadership capability or likableness. Meaning the higher resonant that you are, and I talk all the time in this channel about finding something that resonates within you. So if you create a character and the entire character's purpose is to find resonance within their life, then they're going to be up to the point of being soulbound. Or if they're in the other aspect where they're just completely trying to destroy all of that exists around them, then they're going to be hollow, the exact opposite. So are you building community or are you destroying community? Think of it like that. And there could also be a little bit of in between there where somebody could have strong leadership capability, but then not be a likable person. I know that sounds crazy, but we're trying to be creative here, right? So between 0 and 25%, you'll be hollow. 26 to 74%, you'll be attuned. And 75 to 100% will be considered soul bound for soul resonance. Next data entry aspect is the archive entry. It's going to be in the bottom right part of this graphic tool. And this is where you're going to actually implement a personality type based off of the 16 personality types identifier, which is officially recognized as the MBTI, Myers-Briggs Type Indicator. If you haven't taken that, I highly recommend, but also more on that in just a second. So you're going to have an actual designation for this character, because when I've created these characters in the lore of the story, they have associated personality types. And I truly believe when I'm trying to create characters that form a sense of resonance within other viewers or myself, this helps provide an association with that. Because when we were talking about nations and titles earlier, that's more of a political or social standing in terms of the world basis. Meanwhile, personality is more of that intellectual or emotional attachment to a character. Then you're also going to be allowed to add in a short description of what type of person this is. So yes, you have that 4-digit letter basis. It's going to come out and tell you, generally speaking, who they are. But then you can also write in a short description and getting in more into the nitty-gritty details of that person. Finally, last but not least, we're going to talk about the image format, because when it comes down to it, I had to be very particular about how to enter the images within this tool. So for this case, in coding measures, we call it the contain frame, where it's going to attempt to manipulate it into a where nothing's being cut off. Okay, the perfect ratio for these image formats is going to be a 2:3 ratio in terms of width to height, so 2:3, meaning it's going to be more of a vertical image. This is also recognized as a 1:1.5. And then here are the example recommended resolutions when it comes to these images. What I recommend is, if you're going to utilize any sort of tool like an AI driven character design that I've created in the past, also a link for that, you can go ahead and generate an image using artificial intelligence, free of charge, of course. We're not trying to do anything that provokes any money usage here. This is entirely free. It's all about getting creative and finding something that you truly love, just like as I have when I've been doing all the creations for this material. And once you get to that image that is near perfect and it's good enough in your terms, but it doesn't quite fit these image quality formats, then go ahead, and what I recommend is to find an online image editor. You can literally go to Google, search it up, free online image editor. And what you'll do is you'll create, and you can enter in these sizings and then try to adjust it down. You don't have to be perfect with these, but generally speaking, the closer you are to these values in terms of that vertical format, then you're going to get way better results when they actually post onto the piece. So again, in terms of image formats, you're either going to use a JPEG file or a PNG file. As for the actual technical instructions, I made this as easy as possible. I went to a website where you can actually upload these types of graphic tools, and all you have to do, when you go down here, I've provided the link to you. And I'm actually going to finish this off by doing a character with you to showcase how to work the tool itself. And last but not least, when it comes to the overall guide and usage of this tool, remember that the entire purpose here is incredibly helpful for anybody who is a YouTuber, a streamer, or anything of the like, where they just want to showcase themselves to their friends or family or whoever else. Then once you have this finished product and you've got it in the presentation mode, go ahead and click down to your Windows key here and look up your snipping tool. Because what you can do is you can utilize your snipping tool, click a new screenshot for an example, highlight a designated region, which will be the graphic card itself when it's done, and then you can go ahead and save your tool. Super awesome, simple, easy, and I'm going to love using this, not only because I created it, but because it really is just a super cool tool. And something like this just doesn't really exist right now. And going back to the friend portfolio that I've created in the past, this is the link to that document. And if you need any assistance in terms of developing a character that best resonates with you, go through the friend portfolio activity on my channel here. You'll be able to showcase all the attributes of character, go through a personality test, and many other aspects that will identify who you are as a person. So then if you wanted to create your reality persona in a fantasy setting, then you can come back to the tool and get creative. And without further ado, let's go ahead and get to this tool here. Oh, looks like I have to just go ahead, click it, and we'll open it. Here we go. So a nice, beautiful page here. I got some artwork that I've taken from the creation of myself over time. I'll give you a nice little explanation here. Pretty similar to what you just saw on the last page there, and it's also going to provide those two links for you, such as the Google Word document that I've just showcased of the guide of how everything works, and then also the Friend Portfolio Part 1 activity for the My Reality Character Blueprint. Man, I'm just fired up today. I don't know what it is, but I'm feeling really good about this one. So let's go ahead and click Run Tool. And here we are. So here's the official notice of looking at this tool here. And again, here's that hide controls button. And as you can see, when I click it, it'll open and showcase or open and close this left tool tab bar where I can go ahead and enter in all my details and make all these changes. So now I'm going to go ahead and create a character, and I'm going to create a character based off the protagonist of the lore. And a lot of the information I've actually put in as the default, so there's not too much I'll go ahead and manipulate here. But so this character is going to be AveyaZ Character. He is recognized as the Chaos Resurgent as a title. Also, in terms of political standing, he is the Prince of the Chaos Realm. And the name of the Chaos Realm is Zarvale. That is the name of the faction here. And as you can tell, when I get rid of it, it completely takes out that part right here in the top right of this box. Go ahead and paste it back in because I copied it before I got rid of it. So let's scroll on down here to the class. AveyaZ Character is the Ravager by class type. And in terms of the tier number, he is a tier 3 elite. I already had it in, but just showcasing how it looks in terms of making these differences here, right? Automatically changes over there. Man, I just think it's so cool. What mana type does Avant have? He is a member of the Chaos Realm, so therefore he has Chaos mana, or specifically in the lore, it is recognized as Chaos Resurgence, but also he is a fire elemental user by the end of the day. So I've added that in as well. When it comes to weapon choice, wields both a sword and an axe, and it's more of like a great sword. So I add that in there. And these two weapons are otherwise titled Zerun the sword and Alurvan the axe. On to the next part. So we have the octagon of stats in the center here. So in terms of just the way the bars work, it auto adjusts as the bars go down. So if I were to turn all of these down from the beginning, you'll see that it'll completely disappear. And in terms of if any of you are making a character, you can put whatever you want ultimately. But for me in this instance, so if I were to develop this for Avant, he is going to first and foremost frontlining type of character that is going to be a master of controlled aggression, who is incredibly capable of in terms of physical stats. And honestly, in the traditional style berserker types, they are very prevalent in a high health pool with a high basis of physical attack. Ravagers are a key combination of berserker types and swordmaster, if you want to call it that, in a more traditional aspect. But now the next part comes into play, tankiness value. So in terms of having the easiest stats that I could enter, those three were generally speaking going to be the easiest ones. But now I want to think more along the lines of resolve. Now, since this is a character that was built based off of my persona in a fantasy story, one of my greatest attributes of character is resolve. And ultimately, since that is within my top 5, and I believe I would even consider it as far as being the top 2nd attribute of character for myself, I'm tempted to max this out as well. I know that's a lot of meters maxed out, but he is a protagonist of the story, and definitely when he's in the upper level phases of Chaos Resurgence, that is the Chaos Mana transformation in the story, yeah, it is absolutely to the cap. But if I was looking at it as a basis of being within the lower end of those phases, it wouldn't be necessarily maxed out, but it would be at a very high level for sure. Now, because he is a frontliner, he's going to have a high level of physical defense, but the counterpart then is going to be magic stats. Now, within the basis of the lore and being a resonator within the Chaos Realm, they're going to be slightly in hybrid capabilities. Members of the Chaos Realm are going to be stronger than the average persona within the entire world. And that is just by the region has been built and structured over time. Now, he is not going to have the prevalence of a mage or a sorcerer type of any regard, absolutely not. But he's also not going to be weak magical capability. So in this case, being as the base format in the lower tiers of Chaos Resurgence, I'll go with a 50% rating in terms of where this bar is going to settle in. And then if I had to choose any other stats, that would be his weakness points. Given the fact that he's going to be more of a frontline, heavy hitting, but also having some form of stature to himself, then his lower basis is going to be magic resistance and insight. Now, if I had to choose between his weakest stats, it's obviously going to be between insight and arcana. That is the quote-unquote traditional luck stat and the magic attack stat. And now that I'm thinking about it, his reference point is going to be more about resolve, stability within long-term fights, while having the strong sense of prowess, fortitude, and constitution. But also, given how the character is treated throughout the entire story and the fact that he continues to fight for his belief system and everything else along the lines, I will be okay with raising the resolve factor. And the way I'm thinking about this, at the very end of it all, this is the potential. What is the maximum, or what is the basis point potential for each of these individual stats for this character? You don't have to think too far on regards to the tier rating, whether it's tier 1 to tier 5, because really I want to know what the basis point is. If Avant was more of a tank class character, then sure, then maybe his fortitude and his resilience would be nearly maxed out based off of that potential alone. That's what I'm trying to get at here. I think that it would be ironic to put his luck stat down to bitter 0, because that is absolutely the way he is replicated within the story. But given that he is a protagonist character and his overall design is just to be within the brawl out of all of the fights, I will settle on slightly higher forms of resolve and decent level of magic resistance. So if I were to look at it like this, and rightfully so, I didn't think of a true methodology falling behind this, but let's think of this as an example. A maxed out version of a stat would be more aligned of, this is what the class was designed for, right? And a near 75% margin would be a secondary or third rating stat in regards to that class as well. So it is a primary stat, but not necessarily to the top most achievable means of what he originally was for. 50% would be, it's decent, could still potentially be above average depending on the upper tiers, but that is where it begins to be lacking. And anything lower than that would be threatening weakness attached to the character. I think to the finale part of this, I will raise, I think I'm pretty settled in on this moment here. Even though the Ravager is a brutal melee fighter, capable of other mechanics as well, but traditionally a close range fighter with the mixture between serious amounts of aggression and a controlled stability. I'm also trying to dictate the difference between protagonist 1 and the second protagonist. So I think for the time being, I'm settling with this. Could change it up later on, but I'm good with this as it is right now. On a second note, I seriously can't get past the fact that resolve is literally part of my top 5 attributes of character. I'm maxing it out. I've solidified this aspect of myself. I'm maxing it out. And with that reasoning, I will even lower the luck stat a bit, because you know what? There you go. He's got a weak point. On to the lower parts here now. 16 personality type identifier. ENFJ, that is officially recognized as the protagonist. I know, ironic. Hey, it is what it is, especially considering that's the same type for me, myself. And then cycling down further to the personality summary, and that is the part that goes in right here underneath the 4-letter scheme. I've already done this part. So here, I'll just go ahead and read it off to you. So Avant Zendelga, he is recognized as the ENFJ, the protagonist. And it's actually still a very effective format in terms of the box shape here. So I'm gonna go ahead and leave that in. That is, if I could actually spell. Oh my goodness. So Avant Zendelga, the ENFJ protagonist, is a natural born leader driven by absolute resolve. He fights to become the strongest version of himself in order to eliminate the burden he possesses. And I yet cannot spell. What is going on here? Possess is yet another error. Oh my gosh, what is wrong with me? Top 5 attributes of character: Dominion, that is lore specific to the Chaos Realm. Resolve, man, I was right, that was my number 2. Charisma, empathy, and discipline. Getting towards the end here of this character tribute, you'll have a corruption level, so I'm going ahead and just mess around with it, and you can tell it says pure right underneath here in this bar, this red line bar, to stable and corrupted. Now, given the fact that Chaos Resurgence is a form of corruption in itself, it is a Chaos Mana transformation. He is corrupted. Yes, he is. I know. Ironic for the fact that a protagonist character is considered corrupted. But for that example, yes, he is corrupted, but he has not fully succumbed to the will of chaos itself. Therefore, he's not quite 100%. But throughout the tendency of the story, there is a point in time where he does reach the factor of 100%. But officially, as a character basis, 80%. Resonance, soul resonance. Hollow, attuned, and soulbound. He is a very capable leader. The ENFJ protagonist is a leadership characteristic in terms of personality traits. That alone is a high enough basis to instantly become soulbound. And then given the way he portrays himself throughout the story, he has all of the capacity to be one of the greatest leaders of all time. It just so happens that it takes a long time for him to finally get there. So for my example of Von Zendelga, he will be 100% on resonance and it will be recognized as soulbound. On to the second last part, which is the archive entry, number 24. That's a cool little SpongeBob reference, as I've had a lot of those in the story. So what is Avant's lore in the story? Exiled from Zarvale, the Chaos Realm, Avant's journey from noble birthright to bloody retribution will reshape the world of Velaris. He travels with his best friend from childhood and significant other, the soulful companion, that's her title, AveyaZ Character. I can't believe it, I'm finally to the end here. So now I'm going to put in the image, and there you have it. There he is. Image uploaded, all the details finalized. I really like how I got all of these parts labeled here, and then I will hide the controls. And for some reason, my F11 key is not actually full screening the entirety here, because this should eliminate the rest of the window here. It's not. There you have it. My first ever official character created utilizing this graphic tool as an awesome tool. And I also, now that I'm looking back to it, I never really had a chance to fully absorb in this radar chart. Gosh, that's so cool. And it's very heavily RPG style. And now in the future, I will go ahead and use this same format to develop future characters and also represent them, giving them their showcase, the official debut. And obviously the next character that really needs to come into play will be the second protagonist for AveyaZ Character. Now listen everybody, thank you so much for being here today. I had an amazing time creating this graphic tool that I will be able to utilize in the future. It looks great. It's got all of the lore basis attached to it, and also the new character stat of Resolve. I truly resonate with that one in particular, but I think it'll be super cool in the future to be able to see what other people within the community that I'm building here, what their thoughts are and what type of characters resonate within them, because then it'll also give me more ideas for characters in the future as well. And when it comes down to it, to all you diehard fans of video games, films, movies, you name it, finding a character that truly resonates within you is a journey in of itself, and I have definitely created the one for me. And this will best showcase the whole concept of everything that I'm doing here, which is creating unity and structure within a community. And in the end, we will change the hearts of many, one person at a time. Thanks for being here. Leave your comments and thumbs up down below. Also subscribe to the channel to keep in touch with future content. And let me know what you liked most about the graphic tool and everything else of what you've seen here today. And for now, take care, and I'll see you in the next one.